and welcome again to my channel. I'm going to try and do a lot more of these videos now. And the first one is about Owen Patterson. Well, who else would it be about? Well, actually, it's not really about Owen Patterson. Owen Patterson has resigned as an MP. But who is really to blame for the mess? Now, I think possibly the person to blame is not the Prime Minister, bizarrely. I think it's either Jacob Rees Mogg, who seems to have been the ultimate fool in the drama, the person who was campaigning most vigorously for Owen Patterson to be kept as an MP and for the standards watchdog, for the standards commissioner, for the standards process to be challenged. The other person is Mark Spencer, who's the chief whip, and he's the person who bizarrely on Wednesday at 11:30 instituted a 3-line whip. It's almost unheard of for something to do with parliamentary business. Just extraordinary. So what do they want to do? They wanted, on the one hand, to amend the procedure and to question the processes which were used by the independent commissioner Katherine Stone. And on the other hand, it was an outpouring of affection and sympathy for Owen Patterson, partly because his wife had only a few months ago killed herself. But the standards committee, the committee system which governs the way standards are controlled in the House of Commons, the chairman of that is the Labour man, Chris Bryant. So there were a number of targets. Now, Boris doesn't get off so easily, of course, because Katherine Stone is the person that the Labour vice leader, Angela Rayner, has now appealed to about Boris's latest freebie. So you remember that Boris went off to stay in Zach Goldsmith's house in Marbella. Now, this was duly filed in the Commons Registry as a gift. But the question is why Boris didn't say how much that gift was worth. I do find this idea of categorising how much something is worth, it's a little irritating. But Boris says that actually this was an arrangement between two ministers and two old friends. So it's on a different level to the last freebie he accepted, where he got rapped on the knuckles for not declaring a trip which was worth £15,000 to a house in Mustique. So the mates rates, that Boris would say is irrelevant. And the deputy leader of the House of Commons, Angela Rayner, says that this is a breach of the House Code of Conduct, and she's therefore called on Katherine Stone. Now, it goes slightly further than that, because what has Owen Patterson actually been doing? Owen Patterson has been lobbying for two particular businesses, and we understand that he's gained in excess of £500,000 payment for what the Commons has called an egregious abuse of office. I love that word, egregious. Julie Andrews used it when she was saying she didn't wish to be considered for a Tony Award. But it's not only that. Because Owen Patterson also, after he left ministerial office, set up his own fundraising think tank, which I think was called UK20. And that in turn was raising money for him. And so it's a sort of smoke and mirrors thing. It's very difficult to cut through all the various diversions and all the various tactics. It does certainly, it doesn't come across as transparent. But it may not necessarily be against the rules. The two companies in question, one is Randox and the other one is, both of them in Northern Ireland, which is strange because that's not his constituency. Randox and Lynn's County Foods, which goes under the brand name of Finnebrogue. What's interesting about Randox is no matter what Owen Patterson was doing with it, in the end, Randox was one of those companies that that was introduced to Matt Hancock, and Matt Hancock gave them some sort of lucrative handout in the track and trace system. So maybe this is another situation where the stationery cupboard, oh Gina, where the stationery cupboard has been invaded by Mr. Hancock, and Owen Patterson maybe has some sort of links with that. But who knows what those links are, because I give up in my attempt to get to the bottom of this one. Oh Gina, we have to get to the bottom of this. Oh yes. And Owen Patterson says, my integrity has been questioned publicly and repeatedly. Well, not so much as the integrity of Matt Hancock, because that clearly has been questioned publicly and repeatedly. So there we are. I thought I wouldn't get... I thought the days of talking about Matt Hancock were over, but... Oh, no! Oh, missus. Isn't that wonderful? So please, do follow my channel and ring the bell.